The Malazan military's vaunted ability to adapt to whatever style of warfare the opposition offered was in fact superficial. Behind the illusion of malleability, there remained a hard certainty in the supremacy of the Imperial way. Contributing to that illusion of flexibility was the sheer resiliency of the Malazan military structure, and a foundation bolstered by profound knowledge and insightful analysis of disparate and numerous styles of warfare.
This is Memories of Ice, Chapter 11, and we're continuing on with this one storyline per chapter kind of format, and so they're moving quick. Let's get into it. As usual, we're going to go ahead and go through the main chapter, and then we're going to talk about spoilery goodness, but I'll make sure to let you know when to get out. We start off with Spindle's hair shirt, and it's on fire. No! We get a lot of the internal squad dynamics with the bridge burners there, too, with, like, the kind of ribbing each other all the time, but then, like, the underlying friendship, and their you know, still kind of reeling from being betrayed back in Pale, and just what that means to them, and the fact that they're outlawed, and even though, you know, Picker still thinks that in, you know, one way or another they're still kind of doing the Empire's bidding, either explicitly or implicitly, but essentially they're just there waiting it out because Quick Ben is off, and they need to wait for him in order to try and link back up with the rest of the bridge burners.
This is boring. I'm bored now.
The infection of the Warrens is getting really bad at this point, and Quick is almost not able to make his way out of the Warrens, and that was using Hood's path, which is like the least impacted, right? He said, like, I would have been dead if I would have tried coming out of any other Warren or going into any other Warren, and so things are getting pretty bad. And basically it's the Chain God who is striking back at magic, right? Like, they used magic to call him down and chain him and all of that stuff. And so he's lashing back out at that very, you know, force so that no one can use it as a way to, like, retaliate for what's been done to him. And somehow or another it's connected to the Pantheon Seer, because the Crippled God is, like, using the Pantheon Seer as a vehicle to spread chaos on the mortal plane or whatever.
Bruh.
Perrin, Trots, and the half of the bridge burners that they took make it to the Whiteface Barghast camp, and it's pretty nuts. Think of, like, first few chapters of Game of Thrones, like Dothraki camp, Ahraz, you know, fighting, boning, eating, drinking, whatever, all going down just right there in the open.
You had me at hello.
There's like 100,000 of these Whiteface Barghast collected there, and maybe even more, honestly, because of all the stuff that went down that we saw Hatan do in the previous chapter. There was like a broader gambit there. Trots is obviously, again, has a deep lineage. All of his tattoos and stuff say that he is one of the oldest, you know, from one of the oldest tribes and families in the entirety of the Barghast clans, and so he's there to challenge their champion in order to become a clan leader of the Barghast, to try and recruit them into the war. Perrin's worried that Trots is going to get his ass beat by Hatan's baby brother, because he's this dude who's supposedly just super G'd up. Uh-oh. Ganoes himself is still grappling with, like, all of these revelations and changes that are happening, and, like, all the stuff that happened in the Azath house. He says if he closes his eyes and, like, thinks about one of those cards, he could, like, easily just, like, slip back into one of those times or places or whatever that are shown on those cards. And so he's, you know, struggling with that, while also just having more practical, real-life concerns that he's got to deal with in the immediate term. And then he asks Twist to do him a favor. twist, by the way, is the Moranth Black commander that's like attached to the bridge burners. We learn that the internal politics of the Barghast are a lot more complicated than we thought, and even if Trotz wins, it's still going to be pretty big deal and a challenge to kind of bring all these clans together under one umbrella, and if Trotz loses, they're basically screwed. Corporal Aimless is like the spokesman for the bridge burners that are watching all this stuff go down, and he's already like planning their escape route before the fight even gets started, so not super optimistic. Perrin's like, yo, we're not going anywhere, and like in this whole exchange, Aimless both like threatens Perrin and admits to killing the last or one of the previous officers all in one shot.
What's the problem?
Fight scene is super dope because Trotz, even though he's a total Barghast and can fight like exactly in that style, instead he fights in the style of a Malazan heavy, you know, shield and spear, or, you know, short sword and shield, and is able to kind of chop the dude's hand off, slice his belly open, but not unfortunately before the dude can use his other hand to karate chop him in the Adam's apple and straight collapse his windpipe. But now they're kind of screwed, right? Because on the one hand, like, Trotz won, basically, but then if he dies, then it's gonna ultimately end up being a tie, and the bridge burners are screwed. And so Hatan's dad basically says, yeah, well, we're just gonna have to wait and see. But we do find out that the little errand or favor that Ganoes sent Twist on was actually to, in advance, go collect Mallet and bring him back in the case that Trotz needed some healing. Then we go back to the other group of bridge burners with Quick now, who are still making their way up to the main scrap area when Quick Ben gets sucked underground, straight up like Princess Bride Quicksand style, and he goes through into this kind of realm of the Barghast spirits, and Talmondas is there with all these other Barghast spirits, and he says, yo, look, like, Trotz basically won the fight, but if he dies, then, you know, Hatan's dad's not going to have any choice but to, in order to consolidate everybody behind him, he's going to have to take out all of the bridge burners. But he goes, yo, look, that's actually not why we brought you here. He's like, what we need you to do is that, you know, our spirits, us, aren't welcome with the tribes where they're up there at the scrap, and so we need you to go there and actually tell Hatan's dad that she has freed and, you know, reunited with the you know, bigger spirits, the elder gods of the Barghast, if you will. And Quick Ben's like, oh, so you need me to deliver a message, and he's able to kind of like use that to bargain for you know, Trotz's life, and for them to basically give Mallet a power-up and enable him to be able to use his Denol Warren to actually heal Trotz's crushed throat.
Good job.
And Mallet doesn't know all this stuff has gone on and that Quick's made this deal, right? And so he steps up to the plate anyway and volunteers when Ganoes asks him to do it, and says, you know, even though this is probably going to kill me, I'm going to do it anyway. Just freaking goes in, eyes wide open. Just such a good freaking dude. But he you know, gets dragged into this Barghast Warren, and they just hook him up fatty with so much power, and it gives him the ability to actually, you know, completely heal Trotz's crushed throat, even though he says, you know, somebody else was out there paying the price for that. Mulch and Aimless kind of have this little moment, and they're just like squad members of the bridge burners, where they kind of think that Perrin has passed his first real test of command, and they kind of, you know, as the stand-in for the audience, like, give him the you know, seal of approval, if you will. At this point, Quick Ben and the whole rest of that half of that bridge burner squad shows up. Quick Ben is like unconscious from his whole ordeal, negotiating with Talmondas or whatever. They wake him up and tell him, you know, look, the Barghasts are not going to be helping us, even though Trotz won, he's healed, he's back. He's like, they're still not going to help. and they, you know, that's right when Quick wakes up, and they're able to go and put the facts to Haton's dad, show him what's really on the line, provide some pretty solid motivation, and ultimately they succeed in recruiting the white-faced Barghast to this cause against the Pani and Daman to march on Kapustan. So we're going to leave the regular chapter stuff there. Thanks all the rookies for watching. The veterans and I are going to talk spoilers, so I'll give you a few seconds to click out. Thanks so much. We'll see you on the next one. Not a ton of spoilers on this one because the chapters are just moving so fast, but there is a kind of decent chunk of Tay Shren foreshadowing up in this one. And I just absolutely love Picker and how prescient is she, right? Because she's asking about this dude, Artanos, who's Dujak's like standard bearer, and what the heck is up with that? How she had it on the nose that they were never really outlawed from the Empire, and that they were, you know, this is the only way that they could, you know, do the parlay and get on the good side with Kaladin Brood and all of that. So she's, you know, she kind of has the tough love element. She's a perfect corporal because she doesn't take anybody's crap, but she, you know, is a good, she's hardworking, right? And sets, like, leads by example, I guess would be the way to say it. But also she's like connecting the dots on all these bigger tactical and strategic issues. So just, again, total badass. Plus she has a total badass girlfriend and like menage a songs or whatever the right nomenclature for that would be. Yeah, love me some Picker. There's also, and I'm reading Orb Sceptre Throne right now for 10 very big books, but there's like a ton of good OST foreshadowing with Moranth, the Tisti Dur, the whole, you know, seafaring peoples, the fact that it seems like the Moranth got the munitions from the Edur back in the day, and then kind of like they were all one people, the Barghast and the Moranth, sorry, and they kind of branched off and were two separate things, and, you know, one half was like eternal war against the Edur, and the other one seems like it benefited from some technology transfers, is what the econ nerds would call that, but yeah, a lot of good stuff. I think somebody could make a killer video about the Barghast, the Moranth, the Segula, and then that, you know, relationship to the Talon IMAS, and also how that ties in with the Tisti Dur storyline, because it seems like they might be responsible for that developing on Lether in the first place. Let me know your comments. I wanna discuss that one and see what people think about that specific topic. There's also like a lot of really good bridge burner ascension stuff in this chapter as well, when Humble Tor is talking to Ganoes' parent about how Trot's, you know, this has become Trot's clan now, and all these things about them becoming a unit, as well as foreshadowing the like end of the books about the Pani-and-Seer and the power behind the Pani-and-Seer not really being the Pani-and-Seer, and just, you know, the whole end game is basically there and spelled out between the, you know, prologue and what we've read up to this point. Honestly, it's like buried in there, I guess, but you go back and read it on your fourth time and it's like, man, how did I not see this coming down the pike? But just some very, very good stuff. Really loving these chapters. Hope you are too. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked it, make sure to give us a like, a subscribe, you know, join the channel, do all the good stuff. Partridge in a pear tree. Check out that Discord. If you're this far in, might as well jump all the way in. So yeah, thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one. Happy reading.